It's time to put on your imagination cap and head on over to Imagination Station.
We trust in you, Jesus.
Hello and welcome to Imagination Station. I'm Miss Monica and I'm so glad that you're here. At Imagination Station, we learn more about the world around us and we learn different ways that we can trust Jesus. This week at Rocky Railway, we're imagining that Imagination Station is a train repair shop. That's really special to me because both my dad and my grandfather worked in the train repair shops for the Pennsylvania Railroad. So I'm imagining that I'm working in the same shops that they did. Isn't that neat? They taught me a lot of things, and they taught me that sometimes life can be hard. But things can be easier when you use the right tools and when you trust Jesus. I can't wait to see the incredible things we'll discover this week about Jesus' power. We're going to have so much fun. Hey friends, before we get started, I have a question for you. Did you bring your imagination today? I was a little worried you might forget since it's the first day, but you know how much we depend on our imaginations here at Imagination Station. But don't you worry, I'm going to give your imaginations a boost. Our friend Ramsey today is a bighorn sheep. He and his friends love living in the Rocky Mountains. The mountains are so beautiful, but it can be very hazardous there in the wintertime, especially when it's snowy and the rocks get icy. The slopes are very steep. It's a good thing that God made Ramsey with sure-footed feet, and his sure-footedness certainly comes in handy to keep him from falling off the mountain. I thought we could pretend today to be a bighorn sheep and see how sure-footed we are. I want you to find a line on the floor. Maybe it's a line along the edge of a carpet or a pattern in the tile. It doesn't have to be a straight line. You could even try this outside with sidewalk chalk. Draw a crazy path and then see if you can walk along it without falling off. It shouldn't be too hard, but I want you to imagine when you're doing it that you're a bighorn sheep on the Rocky Mountains. Go ahead and give it a try.
Bah! I'm a ram, and this is my favorite snack.
That was great. Even when it snows, Ramsey knows that with Jesus' power, we can do hard things. Trust Jesus. Now that your imaginations are up and running, let's put them to work. And we're going to get started with a question to think about. Now I want you to hold on to your answers until I tell you it's time to vote. A baby bighorn sheep takes how long, do you think, before it can walk and climb as good as its mother? Does it take 6 weeks? Or does it take just one day? This is the kind of question that not anybody really knows the answer to, so we kind of have to guess. Now, if you think, when I tell you to vote, if you think that the answer is 6 weeks, I want you to put your hands on your head. If you think the answer is just one day, I want you to touch your toes. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, vote. Some great imagining there. You guys did a good job. Are you ready to hear the answer? The answer is just one day. Can you believe it? A baby bighorn can walk and climb just like its mother after just one day. Imagine that. Do you know what a saint is? A saint is someone who has died, who is in heaven with God. That's probably a lot of people. Now, the church recognizes certain people as saints because God has given us a sign that they are there with him. And those signs are miracles. So today, I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine who happens to be a saint. Therese Martin lived in the late 1800s, which is a pretty long time ago, even older than my grandfather. She grew up in a loving family. She was a lot like you. She liked to play and laugh. Her family taught her the faith. They were very faithful. She was a happy child, but she was also very sensitive, and her feelings got hurt easily, and when they did, she usually cried. Therese also had some suffering in her life, just like everybody does. Therese's mother died when she was only 4. What a hard thing. Now, she had 4 older sisters, so they were like fill-in mothers for her. But one by one, as they grew up, they went off to the convent, and they disappeared for her, which was another sad loss. Now, when those girls went to the convent, they became cloistered nuns, which means you can't really come home for visits a lot. Therese was very smart, but when she went away to school, she was bullied. She felt like she wasn't good enough for anything. Have you ever felt bullied? Has anyone ever made you feel small and insignificant? That's just how Therese felt. But then one Christmas Eve, something happened. Therese had overheard a conversation that was about to make her cry. It had hurt her feelings. And just as she was starting to cry, though, she felt something in her heart. Jesus was with her. She felt the power of Jesus overcome her, and she understood the depths of his love for her. She thought to herself, wow, Jesus became a baby for me. That night, Therese's life changed. She felt years of anxiety and fear and pain just disappear, and she understood the power of Jesus in her life. We call that kind of experience a conversion experience. So even though she was a faithful Catholic, that was the first time that she really felt Jesus' power in her life, and it changed her heart. Therese eventually entered the convent just like her sisters, but she worried that she wouldn't be good enough to get into heaven. The road was so hard, and there were so many obstacles in the way. But Therese found consolation in the scriptures, and she came up with what she called a little way. The little way to heaven was the shortest way to heaven because you just rely on Jesus. You put all your love and trust into him, and he will carry you to heaven. With Jesus' power, we can do hard things. Therese taught others about her little way, and she wrote it down for all of us to read. Therese was declared a saint, and she's called a doctor of the church. A doctor of the church is a great teacher. And Therese has inspired many people with her little way. Saint Therese's mother and father are also canonized saints. They are a family of saints. Can you believe it? They're called Saint Zélie Martin, which is her mother, and Saint Louis Martin was her father. Getting to heaven is a team sport, and we all have to work together, helping and encouraging each other along the way. So when you are feeling small, hurt, or lonely, I want you to ask Saint Therese to pray for you and help you find the joy of Jesus in your heart. So today we're thinking about how Jesus' power helps us do hard things. Trust Jesus. What is hard for you? Sometimes it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. We don't have enough energy. I'm going to talk about energy today. We have different kinds of energy. There's kinetic energy. That's when you are using energy and you're moving. And then there's potential energy, when something is still but ready to move. I have here 2 cars, a blue car, red car. And I'm going to set them here on this table, and they have no energy. They're just sitting there. They're not going to go anywhere. But if I give them some potential energy, when I put them on a ramp, say, then what happens? They have potential energy because the ramp gives them that little bit of extra boost so that when I let them go, they move down the ramp. Their potential energy turns into kinetic energy. You know, I think about that when I go to Mass. Sometimes when I go to Mass, and it feels like that time with Jesus gives me potential energy, and it lets me zoom through my week. I can't imagine how much energy I would have to spend to get that same effect. Now today we have a gizmo for you, and it's a different kind of potential energy, Instead of setting it up on a ramp and letting it go, you're going to use your energy to store it up. Now, I don't have one of the pullback trains today, but you're going to really like it. What I want you to do is get those trains out, and my helpers are going to show you how they work.
Race with your friends. It's so fun. I bet I'm gonna win.
No, I'm gonna win.
Ready, set, go.
I win.
You can also play pretend.
Aren't those trains neat? Now, every time that you pull that train back, I want you to think how Jesus' power can energize you. He wants you to have the power to zoom through your day and to be more like him every day. Spend some time playing with your pullback trains. Well, campers, that's all we have for today. I hope you had fun at Imagination Station. As you go on through your day, I want you to say a little prayer. Dear Jesus, with you I can do all things. Be with me today. Amen.
We trust in you, Jesus.